asleep. Speak your prose with none to please. Weigh your elbows on my knees, as uttered several times before. Rhyme with your truth and metaphor swore. To be drawn to you is a kindness, steadily strumming just to remind us. Give me a word, hearken. Perfect, hearken, hearken for a while. Hearken, hearken for a while. We could sway above the meadows.
I did it! I
As
finished!
our riddles rest beneath, as our verses hide away, we could say, let it be. Does your heart too whistle, I wonder, if the past is wet with the future? Is the now a chance or a passage only to be walked upon? And if that is what they are after, solely to foretell or to remember, it is us who are left above betting, borrowing breath followed not by an ending. La da da da, la da da da, la da da da. Forget your voice, forget your mind, but when they find a way to wander, we will let it all. Hearken, hearken for a while. Hearken, hearken for a while. We could sway above the meadows as our riddles rest beneath. I will listen, I will listen, I will let it be. I will ba da 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 Hearken, hearken, oh hearken, 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 hearken for a while. Hearken, hearken for a while.
Hello! Hello, hello, hello! How's everyone doing? How's it going? Very excited to be back streaming again. And pressing things on the screen. Be back streaming again and be doing some more reading of Legend of Exorcism. Should be fun. I really enjoyed streaming it last time, and it's such a fun story to read. There was so much that I remembered. I hadn't. Yes, more of the problematic fire dad. Yeah, I'm very excited to see the dynamics of this chaotic family with totally no issues at all. No, never. Hello, Akashika. Let me know if I'm pronouncing that correct, because my brain is not doing names right now. So yeah, hello, nice to see you. Yeah, I'm excited to read more. Last time we got up to when Ching Shong had arrived after Hong Jun had managed to set everything on fire. And Chong Ming was not having a good day. I'm not quite sure what we'll get up to this stream. I was looking through the chapters, and the next few chapters, they're quite short. So we might get up to chapter 4 or 5, depending on how long it takes to read. But there are some bits that I'm very excited to get to. So should we start reading? Yeah, usual things of apologies for my pronunciation of messages. Nope, wrong word. Names. I will try my best to pronounce them to the best of my abilities, but that's not going to be the proper pronunciation probably. And also, if you have spoilers for stuff, like specific spoilers for stuff, just put a spoiler warning at the beginning of the message so people know what it's a spoiler for, like which part of the story. I myself have only read up to volume 5, so if it's spoilers for after that, I might read it, probably won't. So yeah, I think that's everything. Shall we begin reading? Oh yeah, as always, let me know if the sound is off or the video is off, because I'm very new to streaming. This time my mic worked from the start, so we're winning, but we will see. Okay. Chapter 2, Shadows of the Past. Qingzhong snatched at Hongjun and dragged him off his back. He tickled the youth, eliciting peals of laughter before forcing him to stand before him properly. Have you been making trouble again? Hongjun's hands were still covered in ash, which he'd wiped all over Qingzhong's face. He's so chaotic. He pointed at the dark streaks and broke into another fit of giggles. As Qingzhong stood bewildered, Hongjun recounted the day's events in vivid detail. Qingzhong couldn't suppress a chuckle as Hongjun described the way Chongming had lost his composure. They laughed together for a while before Hongjun looked at him seriously again. What did you bring for me this time? He asked. Hand it over. I brought nothing, Chongming. Qingzhong responded. Skeptical, Hongjun stepped forward to pat Qingzhong down himself. Qingzhong always went around bare chest. The only place gifts might be hiding were his pants pockets. Hongjun was about to start digging when Qingzhong said solemnly, I really didn't bring anything this time. No books? No food? Hongjun's face fell. Qingzhong laughed. You've already finished the books I gave you last time. I've read them so many times they're falling apart. Seeing Hongjun's disappointment, Qingzhong couldn't resist teasing him. Where's your Zhao Zilong? He's here, Hongjun called out, and the carp Biao bounded over. The creature's half-carp, half-man appearance was the result of a failed attempt to cultivate into human form. Hongjun had stumbled across him in the Taihang Mountains 5 years ago and taken him in. The carp Biao's appearance had happened to come just before one of Qingzhong's visits, during which Qingzhong had gifted Hongjun a collection of short stories about the heroes of the human realm, the 3 kingdoms. In his excitement, Hongjun had promptly named the carp Zhao Zilong after the legendary general of Shu Han and declared that he would surely leap over the Dragon Gate to become a powerful dragon one day. Yeah, he is a huge book nerd. He named his, his friend / pet / guardian after a famous historical figure, which is very funny because if you look up the name Zhao Zilong on the internet, you will get images of film adaptations of the story of this historical figure. You have to specify Legend of Exorcism in order to get the pictures of the carp with hairy legs, which is amazing. With the magician's flourished, Qingzhong finally produced something from his pockets, a treasure hanging from a gold chain which he dangled before Hongjun. The moment Qingzhong took it out, the entire courtyard lit up with a brilliance that matched the blazing sun in the sky. What is it? Hongjun asked in astonishment. From the chain hung a delicately wrought pendant of metal and stone, ringed with mechanical components that enclosed a tiny crystal orb which glowed with a soft light like a lamp. I'm leaving this in your care for now. Qingzhong smiled as he untangled the chain and placed the necklace in Hongjun's hands. It's a spiritual device. I don't have the nerve to teach you how it works, though. Your dad would rake me over the coals. The crystal is fragile. Be careful you don't break it. I'll show you what to do with it later. Itching to examine his exquisite gift immediately, Hongjun hastily bobbed his head in agreement before scurrying off with the pendant cupped in both hands. He's already 16. Chongmin had been drinking tea when Qingzhong entered the ancillary hall. Qingzhong knelt before the table and shot Chongmin a glance. He decided to wreak havoc again today, so he's being punished, Chongming explained dispassionately. A youngster like him is bound to cause a little trouble, Qingzhong said. The two of us and Kongshuan were the source of no shortage of chaos back in our day. I need to know what happens back in their day, damn it. The story of Hongjun would have named him Fishy would be very funny. That would be also very in character, I feel like. Chongming arched a brow. He's not ready yet. I received a letter last night from the Department of Demonic Exorcism in the human realm, Qingzhong responded. We have less than 4 years until the heavenly demon Mara returns to this world. The letter is a summons calling young exorcists of talent to gather in Chang'an, presumably in preparation for Mara's resurrection. Qingzhong tried to hand Chongming the letter, but Chongming wouldn't look at it. With a flick of his fingers, a blazing ball of fire shot from his hand. Damn, he has a temper. Qingzhong snatched the letter back to save it from being burned. Chongming, the Yao have run rampant over the Divine Land, while those in the Tang dynasty capable of stopping them have grown fewer in number each year. We're out of time. Chongming at last turned to look directly into Qingzhong's eyes. Do not forget that we too are Yao. Oh, so you do remember, Qingzhong said, and here I thought my liege the Yao King had forgotten. Chongming's aura surged as if flames raged within his body. His brows creased in anger as he glared at Qingzhong. Yeah, it would be shame if something happened to that heart lab. that nice thing that he's just been given. I mean, we're about to cut to Hongjun trying to interrogate the crystal, so yeah. In the study, Hongjun was trying to pry the pendant open with 2 of his throwing knives. What happened to be careful with this thing? It's precious and fragile. Don't give precious, fragile objects to curious teenage boys. He is sassy. I need to know the shenanigans of the 3 of them when they were young Yao Kings. Exactly. He is already trying to destroy this thing. When that didn't work, he attempted to cut through the mechanical rings with a pair of sharp shears. Finally, he resorted to smashing the pendant with the hammer. But even after whacking it until sweat dripped down his forehead, he still couldn't extract the tiny crystal in its center. Ah! Hongjun picked up a bronze vase, sorely tempted to smash the little thing with it next. Why are you so determined to take it apart? The Carpiao piped up from beside him. His Highness Qingzhong told you to be careful with it. I just want to take out the crystal, Hongjun replied. I want to set it in the hilt of my sword. That's no ordinary light it's giving off. The Carpiao clambered onto the table, hopped atop a book, and flopped down. The radiance of the pendant reflected in his fishy eyes. Hongjun examined the necklace. The rings on the outside are charmed, but to do what? Are they a seal? This light is so pleasant. Just looking at it makes me feel warm and cozy, the Carpiao said. I can feel my mood improving already. Hongjun picked up the pendant. Let's go ask Qingzhong about it. You're not done with your punishment yet, the Carpiao reminded him, but Hongjun had already flitted away with the necklace in hand. The setting sun bled across the sky and into the mountains as birdsong rose and fell among the peaks. As Hongjun approached the ancillary hall, he heard a fierce argument coming from inside. Startled, he ducked behind a pillar. That Black Jiao is nothing but a usurper, a false dragon. He'll never be a Yao King, as if some reptile that crawled out of a cesspool could ever be worthy of that title. But he defeated us in battle. This is an irrefutable fact, Qingzhong said grimly. Unless we return and destroy him completely, the entire human world will turn to ash the day Mara returns to lead the Yao. What does that have to do with me? Chongming shouted. The humans abandoned principles for the sake of profit. They took Lao San and left his halfling son to take in my care for 12 years. Why should I have been forced to raise an orphan with human blood running through his veins? He is still Kong Xuan's child, Qingzhong said, his voice low and filled with reproach. Didn't you have any regrets after Kong Xuan left? What is it that you think I should regret? Chongmin practically roared his response. Hongjun wouldn't even be an orphan if that human hadn't led Kong Xuan to his death. Ooh. Yeah, this is getting interesting. Yeah, be careful, proceeds to throw it on the floor. Exactly, Ghost. Sorry. There are indeed ingrates among the human realm who abandon principles for the sake of profit, but there are also friends, like Di Renjie. Friends? What friends? Chongming sneered. Even if they are, I won't see Hongjun do anything for those humans' sake. My answer is no. Qingzhong's voice trembled. Kong Xuan possessed the power of both the demonic and the divine. As his child, Hongjun has inherited his pentacolor sacred light. He has the power to help the Yao eradicate the Black Jiao, avenge his father, and destroy Mara's reincarnation. Even if you try to keep him here for the rest of his life, it's only a matter of time until he learns the truth. The day we left the Central Plains, Chongming began, voice low, I told you I would no longer concern myself with the survival of the Yao. And Mara? I only hope Mara returns and exterminates those damned humans once and for all. Can you not be honest with yourself for once? Chongming! Qingzhong stepped forward, his aura billowing outward. The atmosphere within the hall took on a dangerous quality. The teacups on the table clattered softly against each other, and the latticed windows rattled in their frames as the two kings stared each other down. They were interrupted by the soft press of footsteps outside. Qingzhong and Chongming retracted their auras and turned as one. Qingzhong hurried to the door just in time to see Hongjun's figure receding into the distance. He sighed. The last words you spoke to Kong Xuan all those years ago were, "Get out." And the next thing you knew, you were parted forever. If only you could have said something, anything, to convince him to stay, we wouldn't be in this mess today. With that, Qingzhong strode from the hall, leaving Chongmin to stare out at the twilight beyond the hall door in a quiet daze. Damn, that's an intense scene. Yeah, Chongming does talk like he hates Hongjun, like... Wait, what was that a quote? Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's just reminding me of a quote from Witch Hat Atelier, where Kiefer says that Ulruger's actions are a lot kinder than his words. I feel like that fits Chongming as well, though often his actions aren't particularly kind either. Yeah, but we do see him, like, save Chongming from the fire without thinking at first, but then, you know, that text between the two of them is very intense. There's so much left unresolved, even after, like, what is it now, 12 years? Neither of these repressed immortals have thought of discussing their feelings with each other. It seems like, or maybe they have a lot, but they just have not. Yeah, Chongming is kind of problematic. He's a complex character, but he's not one that I'd invite on a walking tour. Let's put it that way. Not that there are many characters I could invite on a walking tour, because I don't have the stamina to go on a walking tour. Chronic illness. Anyway, okay. Shall we continue and switch back to Hongjun, who just had the most traumatic reveal of his past? Night descended, and the sky filled with stars, their silver light cascading like a waterfall over the Taihang Mountains. The sound of footsteps rose behind him, but Hongjun remained motionless where he lay on a flat slab of rock near Shishan Cliff. The surface of the rock sloped down toward the cliff's edge. The slightest lapse in focus would send him tumbling into a bottomless chasm. Qingzhong climbed up and lay down beside him, and the two stared up at the glittering sky in introspective silence. Is it true? Hongjun suddenly asked. In your heart, you already know the answer. Hongjun's breathing hitched, and Qingzhong lifted a hand to cover the youth's eyes. Clutching at Qingzhong's hand, Hongjun wiped the tears against the man's palm. Does my dad hate me? Hongjun's voice was choked with sobs. What he says rarely reflects what he feels, Qingzhong said pensively. You mustn't hold his words against him. If he truly doesn't wish to do something, there is no one in the world who can force him. The thing that I gave you earlier, do you have it with you? Hongjun shakily held out the pendant. You've always wanted to visit the human realm, have you not? Qingzhong said, taking the pendant from him. Its soft glow lit up half the mountain, a brilliant match for the star-spangled sky. Bathed in its brightness, Hongjun slowly regained his composure. Every time I come to visit, you throw a great tantrum, begging me to take you to the human realm with me, Qingzhong continued. Now that you've grown up, I say, very well. Go ahead. What have you to fear? Hongjun's first reaction was joy, but at the thought of Chongming, his expression dimmed. He stared blankly at Qingzhong, who had turned away to gaze into the pendant's glimmering light. There is plenty of good food and fun to be had in the human realm. Beautiful women, friends to drink with, music that rings for dozens of miles, lights that burn brightly through the night. So go to that vast land of mortals. You won't regret it. By the next day, the ancillary hall had been tidied up, and the three thrones moved in temporarily. Chongming occupied the center seat, with Qingzhong sitting to his left. Chongming's expression was as chilly as ever as Hongjun approached. Hongjun greeted him before respectfully moving to stand in a corner. Dad? I am not your father, Chongming said, his voice devoid of emotion. You are, Hongjun said, feeling uneasy as he looked up at Chongming. You're my dad. But Chongming looked away, his eyes falling on the third empty throne. You once asked me to whom this final seat belonged, Chongming said solemnly. Now I will give you your answer. Your birth father once sat in this chair. His name was Kong Xuan. Like Qingzhong and me, he was once one of the masters of Yaojin Palace. After he died, Qingzhong brought you here. Now that you have grown up, it's time you went back. Went back where? Hongjun asked. To wherever you came from. That's not a good answer, bro. Come on. To wherever you came from. Chongming's voice was toneless. I belong here, Hongjun said. I'm not going anywhere. Ooh. It's gonna be interesting. I love that Qingzhong just doesn't kind of deal with any of what Hongjun's kind of heard. He's like, so, fancy a trip to the human realm, buddy? Do you have it with you? No, I threw it on the floor and broke it. Yeah, that would be the lamp goes into Jiao Silong's body instead or something. I don't know, that would have been interesting. Yeah, I do love that scene. Yeah, Qingzhong is a good parent. He is. He's a bit of a chaotic uncle, but he has more space for Hongjun than Chongming does. Yeah, I love that. They're so fun, and there's so much that I forgot of the nuance in this bit of the story. Like, you really feel from the beginning like you're so, I don't know, close to these characters, I feel like, and I really, really love that. Okay, going on to chapter 3 now. Oh, am I done? Yep, I'm caught up. Okay. Chapter 3, The Vast World. The hall was so quiet one might have heard a pin drop. At last, Qingzhong broke the silence. I hereby order you to travel to the human realm, where you will complete 3 tasks. Hongjun, your father has raised you for 12 years. Will you help him fulfill his 3 wishes? Hongjun glanced first at Chongming, then at Qingzhong, before turning back to Chongming once more. Finally, he nodded. If you put it that way, then yes, I'll go. Qingzhong handed him a letter. Before passing from this world, Di Renjie established a government office known as the Great Tang Department of Demonic Exorcism. Take this letter and report for duty at the department's headquarters. You must find the culprit responsible for the death of your father, Kong Xuan. This is your first task. Did he have any enemies? Hongjun asked after some thought. I don't know. Qingzhong rose to his feet. A jade peacock feather appeared between his fingertips, which he placed in Hongjun's hands. The kind of person your father was, the life he led in Chang'an, the people he hated and the people he loved, those who owed him debts of gratitude and those who bore him feelings of enmity. All of it is a mystery to us, so there's nothing we can tell you. You are the only one who can supply the answers to these questions. When we left in, yes, he just sleeps. When we left in, chapter 1, Qingzhong's like, I'm gonna go investigate Kong Xuan's death. And he leaves Hongjun with Chongming. You're telling me that in, 12 years of trying to investigate, this powerful immortal did not find out anything? And it's yeah, I don't know anything about his life, who he loved, who he hated, what he was doing. I don't know, man. What? Kind of seems suspicious to me, but I don't know. Yeah. It's it really is the classic kind of hey, you're going on a quest with not much information. Take this thing, I love that kind of Hongjun does give off Disney princess energy, especially at the beginning. Hongjun literally just sweeping round Yaojin Palace, singing Rapunzel's song at the beginning. Which, yes, that does make Chongming Mother Gothel. Okay, make of that what you will. And the fact that Hongjun also has a plait and Rapunzel has a plait. Okay. I will actually get back to reading it. I love chatting as well, though. Hongjun hesitated briefly before taking the feather. Yao are running rampant in Chang'an. Chongming tossed him a book, then continued. You were given a set of immortal slaying knives as a child. You may kill any of the Yao listed in this bestiary. Hongjun nodded his assent as he accepted the book and cracked it open. He didn't understand a word of what was written about the monstrous Yogurai described within its pages. Understood? Chongming prompted. Hongjun flipped through the bestiary, making a show of careful examining its contents. He stole glance after glance at Chongming atop his lofty perch, but Chongming never looked back. Who is Di Renjie? He asked, when he saw that Chongming's Who is Di Renjie? He asked when he saw that Chongming's stern expression had eased ever so slightly. A human, Chongming responded. An old friend of your father, who also died long ago. The Department of Demonic Exorcism is responsible for hunting Yao and exorcising demons, Qingzhong explained. Once you join, just listen to your superior's orders. The Yao occupying Chang'an are the mortal enemies of Yaojin Palace. If you can successfully expel the false Yao King of Chang'an, then perhaps one day your father and I will return to the human realm with you. Hongjun lifted his head. Really? What did I ever say that? Chongming's voice was frigid as he glowered at Qingzhong. 200 years ago, Qingzhong continued calmly as he paced around the hall, a war broke out between Yaojin Palace and the sacred kingdom of Mara. After a protracted struggle, there is no need to tell him all of this, Chongming interrupted. He will not succeed. He is your son, Qingzhong retorted, as well as a prince of Yaojin Palace. Chongming's anger fled. Enough! I will defeat the Yao King, Hongjun said, a smile flickering to life upon his face. That's the second task, right? It's a promise. I will never return to the human realm. not even if you hack that black Jiao into 1,000 pieces. Chongming gnashed his teeth. There's no point risking your life for such a useless endeavor. Aw, he's worried about him. Hongjun went quiet. I'm gonna grab some water because I am mixing up my words. Yeah, Hongjun and co had the help of Gay Audacity Chaos, and I feel like some help from behind the scenes in some way. I feel like you do see like flashes of Chongming and what he says. Like, there's no point risking your life for such a useless endeavor. I feel like that's just him being worried about Hongjun. I could be wrong, but anyway. Yeah, let's see if that's better. There's also this. Qingzhong placed the pendant in Hongjun's hand. When you arrive in Chang'an, look for a man named Chen Xiang and tell him the light bearer Dipamkara. Never mind, there's no need for you to tell him anything. Just take the pendant and open it like this. As Qingzhong held the base between slender fingers, the gold band at the base of the pendant began to glow with magical script, before separating from the mechanical rings protecting the luminous gem within. With the charms broken, the bright crystal slowly floated free. Then crush this in front of him. Hongjun's face coloured with surprise. Why? This heart lamp was entrusted to me by the Kun King of the Dark Capital. There is a note here which says, a legendary giant fish measuring up to thousands of miles in length that transforms into an equally large bird known as a peng. Hold on a second. Wait. Because the fish, we know that's the kun, but the peng, that's Qingzhong. Huh? Interesting. So they're both peng? Peng? I pronounced that wrong, sorry. Qingzhong explained. It should have been inherited by a member of the Chen family in the human realm. However, due to a small accident 200 years ago, the power of the heart lamp failed to pass into anyone in the Chen family line. It's time the heart lamp was returned to its rightful owner. When the crystal shatters, the lamp and its power will enter the rightful bearer's body on its own. Put a pin in that. Who knows whether that useful mortal is still among the living? Chongming sneered. There's no need to worry. Any descendant of the Chen family will do, Qingzhong said. In any case, Hongjun, you must find the rightful inheritor of the heart lamp, befriend them, and give them the light contained within this crystal. That is your third task. Once you have completed all three, you may return to Yaojin Palace. Naturally, if you succeed, your father will never drive you from these mountains again. All right, Hongjun tucked the pendant away with care. Then I'll complete these three tasks and return home within a year. Chongming scoffed, but he couldn't help adding some words of his own. You have Kongshuan's pentacolor sacred light within your body. It will protect you. You also have your immortal slaying knives, which are more than efficient to defeat any human or Yao you might encounter. I have raised you for 12 years. Given the time we've shared, Qingzhong will surely berate me if I say nothing. So, if you've thought things through thoroughly and wish to go... Hongjun stared open-mouthed as Chongming finally turned to look at him and said deliberately, You may choose one thing among the treasures of Yaojin Palace to take with you. Anything that you want. Say the word and it's yours. Sunlit spilled into the palace hall, bathing the floor that stretched between them in gold. The firmament beyond the skylight was a deep, flawless blue dotted with a handful of snowy white clouds. After an expansive silence, Hongjun finally said, I want my dad. I want you to come with me down the mountain. Is that okay? Chongming was still for a very long time. At last he rose to his feet and walked toward the side of the room, turning away. No. He did not look back at Hongjun. You said you would give me anything I want, Hongjun said with a smile. Well, I choose you. That's enough, Qingzhong cut in. Hongjun, this is for you. Qingzhong handed Hongjun a full travel pack. Hongjun slung the bag over his shoulder before slowly approaching Chongming, but Chongming refused to look at him. He walked instead out onto the hall's outdoor terrace. Hongjun's feet slowed. If you don't have anything to ask of me, you may as well leave now, Chongming said. There was a long silence then. There's nothing else. Hongjun turned and left the ancillary hall, crestfallen. He's just like Kong Xuan was back then, Qingzhong sighed when he was gone. Chongming's shoulders were trembling. When he spoke, his voice was slightly hoarse. Hongjun is Hongjun. Kong Xuan is Kong Xuan. After all these years, I've managed to move on from the past, yet you're still holding on. Qingzhong looked at him in surprise. Oh my gosh. That quote at the end of Chongming being like, I've moved on, you're still in the past. Like, they are such a classic duo. I love them. He just wants his dad. Yeah, those are some big tasks for someone who is disconnected from the world. It's like, you gave this boy no life skills. It's like, here's a travel pack, 3 big quests, go forth. It's like, oh my gosh, I need art of this. Have you seen, so I think it's like with certain birds, like ducks, when the young are like ready to fledge, like they've grown up enough that they're like ready to like leave the nest, they just jump because they're small and they're fluffy enough. They're safe when they land, but the parents literally just like are like, right, you're done, yeet. I once got to see that. There was a duck nest in like a tree. That sounds improbable. It was there. And I just happened to be walking past it when they were fledging. So I just stood and watched for half an hour while these tiny baby ducklings just fall slowly to the ground. I feel like that's kind of what they're doing now, which fits with the whole bird thing. They're like, right, goodbye. Yes, we will keep him. We will look after the boy. He deserves it. Okay, I think we may get, okay. We may get a bit part of chapter 4, an inch, but I don't think we're gonna get to the end of it. Let's see. Okay. Oh. Also, let me know if the mic is too loud, too quiet, I'm talking too quickly, etc. Okay. Let us continue. Shouldering his little travel pack, Hongjun slowly made his way down the widening footpaths of the Taihang Mountains. The Carpiao bounded after him. Your Highness! Your Highness! The Carpiao gasped for breath. How could you leave without me? Only when Hongjun heard him calling did he realize he had completely forgotten about the creature. What are you doing here? Hongjun asked. Hurry and go back. Dad said the human realm is full of danger. Master Qingzhong asked me to come with you. The carp plopped down on a rock and flapped his tail. Do you know how to get to Chang'an? Hongjun scratched his head. Do you know how many copper coins make up 1 tael of silver? Do you know where to buy a horse? Do you know how to order a meal or book a night at an inn? What about how to create a human? Did you know the best-looking men are the biggest liars? Also, all right, stop. Hongjun dropped his bag and sat down as well. But the carp was just warming up. Remember to wash your hands before you eat. Also, make sure you put on an extra layer when the weather cools. The human realm has 4 seasons: spring, summer, autumn, and winter, unlike Gaojin Palace. In the distance, the rise and fall of birdsong echoed between the misty peaks of the Taihang Mountains, the sea of clouds churning beneath the golden glare of the sun. The Carpiao's lecture seemed to fade as Hongjun thought back on his 12 years in Yaojin Palace. He had never before left his father's side. Yes, he'd always yearned to explore the world of mortals below the mountains, But now that he'd actually left, he found himself unspeakably terrified at the thought of Chongming bidding him what might very well be a final farewell. A wave of grief overwhelmed him. "You can go home after you finish your 3 tasks," the Carpiao said. "Don't cry." "I'm not crying," Hongjun said angrily. "Then let's go. These mountain roads hurt my feet." Hongjun picked up the Carpiao and stuffed the creature, who had very helpfully tucked his arms and legs against his body, into his travel pack. But he couldn't resist taking a final look at the mountains behind him, his heart filled with an indescribable tangle of feelings. "Let's get going," the Carpiao said. "It'll be hard to travel once night falls." Hongjun could not reply. He turned his back to those familiar peaks and took the first steps on his journey down the mountain path. "It's been 3 days. How are they still wandering in the Taihang Mountains?" That was a very different voice to Wayne so far. Oh well. Okay. "It's been 3 days. How are they still wandering the Taihang Mountains?" Chongmeng stood before a pond in the courtyard of Yaojin Palace, his face written with impatience. Within the pond was an image of Hongjun squatting by a small stream and scooping up a handful of water to drink, his hair and clothes dirty and unkempt. "I told him not to drink unboiled water, that it would make him sick. He's only just left the mountain. How has he already become so uncouth?" Chongmin was beside himself with exasperation. "He's probably lost," Qingzhong commented. "I told you that carp isn't to be relied on." Chongming's cheek twitched in irritation. "Forget it. You go escort him out of the mountains." "No," Qingzhong said. "Escort him yourself." As Chongming turned to glare at him, Qingzhong pointed to the pool. "Look, they're almost back on track. If they follow that path on the right, it'll take them down the mountain." Chongming and Qingzhong watched as Hongjun stood before a fork in the road and glanced first left and then right. "Right! Take the right!" Chongming and Qingzhong urged him in anxious unison. Hongjun did not disappoint. Watching him stride down the path to the right, the brothers breathed a sigh of relief. "There they go," Qingzhong said. "If they continue along the humans' official roads, they'll reach Chang'an in a month's time." Hongjun strayed out of the water mirror's range at last, his figure disappearing beyond the final ravine of the Taihang mountain range. Chongming could watch no longer. He turned to leave, alone. Oh. Oh my gosh, I love that bit. Just with, like, I feel like the Carpiao has just been waiting to be a tour guide of the human world for Hongjun. He's like, "Do you know how currency works? You're gonna be lost without me. I'm ready for this." But also, like, yeah, that's such a lot for him to get his head around. Like, I love how it just starts out with a classic, like, hero's quest vibe. And the two of them watching him from the pond is, like, yeah, so funny. Yeah, Chongming is just a worried mum. He's just, like, he's got tracking on his son's phone. He's like, "Please, you're going the wrong way. Use GPS, you idiot." The carp is not helping. Yeah, what did he expect from a carp? Oh. Yeah, when in the Donghua, when I can't remember if it's Zhao Zilong or someone else, I think it is Zhao Zilong, is like, the handsomest men are always whatever he says, like, not to be trusted. It legitimately cuts to a shot of Chang'an and Li Jinglong just walking along and he sneezes, which I think is like the thing of like, he's being thought about or something, and it's like... But it's also so funny because there is, like, obviously a lot of censorship in the Donghua of the romantic part of the story, but they put that in. It's like, make it make sense. Okay, I think we're gonna continue. Yeah, okay, I want to continue. I'm not sure if we'll get to the end of this chapter, but we are going to start this chapter because I'm really enjoying reading. It's not 9 o'clock yet. I'll probably head off around 9 o'clock. We're gonna start chapter 4. Okay, Chapter 4. The Sacred Light Re-emerges. On a pitch-black night 1 month later, rain sluiced over a flat plain, accompanied by deafening crashes of thunder. Lightning streaked across the sky, illuminating the dark earth below. Where did it go? Hongjun swiped rainwater from his face as he scanned his surroundings. There seemed to be countless dangers lurking in the darkness. He could sense Yao energy spreading in all directions. "Stop chasing it," the carp Yao shouted as he scurried after him. "We're almost to Chang'an." "A monster is a monster," Hongjun hollered back. "Every Yao Guai we slay counts for something." Hongjun stood in the middle of the road, drenched in rain and hair sticking to his forehead, and tried to catch his breath. His clothing had grown tattered during his month-long trek from the Taihang Mountains to the Guanlong region, and he was presently covered in blood. When did he get covered in blood? Downpour diluted the splotches of red, which ran down his body to soak into the muddy ground. In his mind's eye, he saw the devastating scenes of huts burning in the Guanzhong plain and children with their heads bitten off. He surveyed the area around him. The spatter of relentless rain drowned out the Yaoguai's rustling as it wove through the open fields. Each flash of lightning left nothing but darkness in its wake, save for the soft glow that clung to the pendant around his neck. There was a deep rumble as a giant creature over 20 feet in length leapt from the wheat fields at his side. The slick black Yaoguai had 5 bloodshot eyes set in its massive head, its bloody maw filled with viciously sharp teeth. It looked like a catfish the size of a small house, if catfish had 4 clawed mucilaginous limbs sprouting from their bodies. The creature lunged at Hongjun, its teeth bared. "It's an owlfish!" Hongjun threw up his hands, and a hazy barrier of light unfolded at his fingertips. The owlfish crashed straight into it and went careening backward, howling in pain. In a flash, Hongjun spun a throwing knife between his fingers and hurled at the primary eye at the apex of the owlfish's head. The immortal slaying knives were a treasure left behind by the cultivator Lu Ya. 4 deadly throwing knives, each imbued with an elemental infinity for wind, water, fire, or lightning. As Hongjun's first blade shot out, a bolt of lightning crashed down from the sky, surging like a waterfall over the horizon. The owlfish jerked away to avoid the strike, only to be blinded by the knife as it plunged directly into one of its lateral eyes. Howling in pain, it crashed to the ground before burrowing into the mud and out of sight, taking the sparking knife with it. Dirty water splattered the official road as the ground split open like a breaking wave before the monster. The monster shot into the distance. Hongjun grabbed the carp Yao and shoved him into his bag before leaping onto his horse and giving chase. I completely forgot that he had a horse. So nothing like a catfish. Yeah, it's like, if it was like a catfish, if the catfish was huge and terrifying, which catfish generally aren't, but hey. I wonder if that's mainly to kind of explain what an owlfish is to English readers who would not be familiar with it. I don't know. Okay, here we go. Is everybody ready? I forgot how kind of terrifying that bit was as well. The storm shrouded Chang'an in a veil of darkness. High on the city wall, sentries in conical bamboo hats were dozing in the shelter of Gate Tower. I am losing my ability to speak. Sorry about that. I really want to keep reading, but yeah, let's see if I can do another page, and if it gets better, and if it doesn't, I'll leave this bit for next time. I am, not used to reading for this amount of time, so it's taking a bit of getting used to. Let's see if this gets better. High on the city wall, sentries in conical bamboo hats were dozing in the shelter of a gate tower's eaves. A monstrous roar echoed from somewhere outside the city. "What's going on out there?" Startled awake, the sentries gathered on the walls. lightning forked across the horizon, revealing a spine-chilling scene at the far end of the official road beyond the city's outskirts. Sludge flew into the air as the earth split open, light flashed from beneath the muddy ground as if an invisible war chariot was barreling toward Chang'an's outer gates. Chasing after the invisible chariot, another figure in the distance was shouting, "Get back here! Archers, fire! Fire! Chang'an is under curfew. Entrance is forbidden." But the warning came too late. Or rather, everything happened too quickly. The garrison commander had scarcely finished speaking before the behemoth, invisible except for the crackling of lightning, splashed into the city moat. With a wild roar, a huge black creature sprang from the water in a flying leap. The sentries on the wall stood agog at this as the giant four-legged owlfish sailed hundreds of feet through the air over their heads with the flip of its tail, its head flashing with electricity. Slicked in mud and algae from the moat, the creature crashed its way into the city, leaving a trail of crushed roof tiles in its wake. I would have thought this thing would leave a lot more than a trail of crashed roof tiles. Like, this thing is huge. Surely it's like whole houses and people screaming, not just a few roof tiles, but okay. Maybe I've got that bit wrong. The garrison commander stared in stunned silence. The stone brick pavement shattered as the giant owlfish reached the inner roads, where it instantly sank back into the earth again. Accompanied by sparks of electricity as it dashed down one of Chang'an's main streets. Only when it had disappeared did the several dozen sentries atop the city wall come to their senses, shouting in alarm. A voice rang out in the darkness beyond the wall. "Stop chasing it!" "My throwing knife is still stuck in its eye," another voice shouted back. "Then recall it! Are you stupid?" "I can't. The knife is the only thing keeping it near the surface. The moment I recall it, it'll burrow under the ground and disappear." A grappling hook shot out with a hiss and caught on the eaves of the gate tower. Seconds later, an agile figure swung up toward the gate, the guards like a celestial deity, lit by the white beams of their searchlights. Chang'an's sentries once again looked on helplessly as Hongjun landed on an overhanging eave and launched himself back into the air, soaring into the city with his arms outstretched like wings. No, notify the Yulin Guard! Hurry! The garrison commander atop the tower shouted in a panic. Inside Chang'an, Hongjun once again flung out his grappling hook, snagging it on the roof of a roadside dwelling to slow himself down before softening his landing with a roll. "Where did it go?" he wondered aloud. "I told you not to chase it." The Carpiao poked his fishy head out from where he was stowed in Hongjun's travel pack, opening and closing his mouth as he drank the rainwater. "Well, what's done is done," Hongjun said. "Can you be any more of a nag?" "It's behind you! Behind you!" the Carpiao cried as he spotted a bolt of lightning swerving into an alley. "Who dares commit crimes under the cover of darkness?" "The glowing man ran over there! Grab him!" Hoofbeats rang out as the city guard rushed toward them, followed by a rain of arrows. Yelping in alarm, the Carpiao screamed at Hongjun to retreat, only for the youth to sidestep the arrows as he chased the Yaoguai into a narrow alleyway. Narrow alleyway. Good idea! The ground was littered with broken bricks and shattered stone, but the owlfish was nowhere to be found. Its roar replaced by the screams of the common folk who had been startled awake by the commotion. Gathering his wits, Hongjun looked up, searching for a place to cast his grappling hook so he could propel himself over the walls in front of him. The alleyway he'd run into was bare on all sides, with no useful eaves or overhangs for him to exploit. "Where are we?" "Someone's coming," the Carpiao said behind him. Okay, we've got 3 pages left of this chapter. Let's see if we can get to the end of it. My boy is on his way, yes! Yeah. It is impressive the people of Chang'an don't believe in Yao. I guess propaganda from the government. Okay. Someone's coming, the cop Yao said behind him. Hongjun turned just in time to see the city guard had caught up with him. We found him, their leader shouted. He's over here. Hongjun backed away helplessly, but he couldn't kill ordinary humans the way he did Yao Guai. He couldn't kill ordinary humans the way he did Yao Guai, but the guards showed no mercy, loosing a hail of arrows with a chorus of twanging bowstrings. Hongjun called on his sacred light, which hummed into place as it formed a protective shield, blocking the projectiles. The deflected arrows flew in all directions, eliciting blood-curdling screams as they knocked the archers from their horses. Is everyone all right? Hongjun called out, afraid he'd killed someone by accident. Okay, ready? Yao Guai, a clear and resonant voice rang out. Surrender yourself at once! The lead guard splashed through the rain and charged directly at Hongjun. Stop fighting already and run! The cop Yao cried. Run where? Hongjun turned aside to avoid the man's strike. He didn't dare use his throwing knives for fear of injuring his opponent. I'm not a Yao Guai, he shouted. You are, though, the cop Yao corrected from behind him. Your dad is a great Yao Guai, with powerful Yao blood running through his veins. How are you not a Yao Guai? Not the time, Jiao's along. Hongjun was speechless. The guard had no spiritual power, but his martial prowess was undeniable. Hongjun tried time and again to escape the narrow alleyway, only for his path to be blocked by the man's sword. He had no choice but to deploy his sacred light once again to protect himself. The storm swallowed the earth and sky as thunder rolled overhead. I don't want to fight you, Hongjun shouted as he ran up one of the narrow alley's walls. Kicking off the surface, he leapt over the head of the guard, attempting to flee. To his surprise, the guard turned and rushed forward with a shout. He hurled himself bodily at Hongjun, his blade ringing as it collided with the sacred light and broke through Hongjun's barrier. Hongjun had never imagined there was a weapon in the world with the power to pierce his shield of sacred light. He twisted in mid-air, folding his left arm behind him as he bent backward and raised his right hand to fend off the blade. The falling rain seemed to freeze in place, each droplet a reflection of the fantastic scene unfolding in the narrow alley. In 1,000 drops of liquid radiance, Hongjun met the guard's fierce eyes as the man thrust his sword towards his throat. Hongjun flinched back to evade the strike, and the pendant around his neck swung up on its chain to meet the blade. The thought struck Hongjun like a bolt of lightning. That's no ordinary weapon. But it was too late. The sword cleaved through the chain with a crack. The crystal pendant shattered to pieces. A blinding flash erupted in the alley. Beneath the roiling tempest up above, Chang'an was engulfed in a cyclone of light that rendered the magnificent capital of Great Tang bright as day. As quickly as it had come, the intense light vanished with a powerful blast of air that forced Hongjun and the guard apart. The shockwave threw Hongjun backward, slamming him into the ground. The only sound was the heavy patter of the rain as a hush descended over the city once more. Hongjun groaned and climbed to his feet with difficulty, swiping rainwater from his eyes. His hand went instinctively to his neck as the realization struck him like 1,000 bolts of lightning. The pendant! It's not here. It broke? It broke! It broke! Crap! Hongjun's face crumpled. He looked back at the groaning soldiers strewn over the ground before turning to the guard lying motionless before him, seemingly unconscious. Are you all right? Hongjun cried anxiously as he patted the man's cheek under his black helmet. Wake up! Wake up! Where did my heart lamp go? When the pendant had shattered, the explosion had flung the man into the deepest reaches of the alley. As the sky began to lighten with the promise of dawn, he could hear angry shouts and shrill screams outside the alleyway. Oh no. The pendant was gone. What was he going to do? No, he had to stay calm. 1,000 thoughts and ideas raced through his mind, all converging on the man before him. Hongjun put all his strength into dragging the guard upright, but it was no use. Combined with his iron armor, the man weighed over 200 pounds, much too heavy for Hongjun to lift. He hurried to strip off the armour, tossing it onto the ground with a series of clangs, before mustering all his strength to pull the man onto his back. Hongjun pressed deeper into the alleyway. At the end of the passage stood a wall nearly 10 feet high. He could only guess at what lay beyond it, but he was truly out of options. Hongjun lugged the unconscious guard, so tall his feet dragged on the ground, to the base of the wall, where he fastened his grappling hook around the fellow's waist and slowly hoisted him up into the air. Over the wall was a garden, crowded with overturned flower pots. Hongjun could hear more pursuers drawing near. He grabbed the guard by the arms and hauled him out of the courtyard, panting from exertion as he went. As the first glimmers of dawn spread out from the horizon, the storm subsided into a fine drizzle. Most of Chang'an's citizens had yet to wake. Exiting the courtyard residence, Hongjun found himself in a maze of streets and alleyways, each road leading to yet more roads. He was utterly lost. Great Tang's capital had been personally designed by the master architect Yuan Kai himself, and featured 110 wards enclosed within a thick outer city wall with 12 gates. Hongjun had passed through several rural villages on his way here, but never had he seen a grand metropolis. He had no idea where he ought to go. "Hey, Jiao Zilong!" Hongjun glanced back at the 3-pound carp tucked into his travel pack. The carp Yao lay motionless, eyes bulging and mouth agape, knocked unconscious when Hongjun had crashed to the ground. "Wake up!" Hongjun was at a complete loss for what to do. He couldn't leave the garden escape on his own, but he had no idea where to go next. Another group of soldiers marched by in the distance. Hongjun didn't dare make any more trouble. He had to find a hiding spot and fast. Casting about, his eye snagged on an open door in the alleyway up ahead. A woman giggled as she walked a portly man out into the street. After a few teasing words, she led out a horse and stood by as the man mounted his steed and rode away. Dragging the guard along with him, Hongjun hid in the darkness and observed the exchange. The sound of hoofbeats rang louder and louder behind him. The soldiers were closing in. Steeling himself, Hongjun grabbed hold of the guard once more and made a break for the open door. Ta-da! Yay! We made it to chapter 5. Command and leave the Longwu Guard, which we're going to leave till next time. So, gonna have a lot of fun next time. Got up to page 53. Let's go. My voice is gone now. That was a lot of fun. Oh, sorry for knocking the mic. I love reading it, especially the chaos of the voices and stuff. It's a lot of fun. Yeah, I hadn't really thought about how often Jiao Zilong gets knocked unconscious, but it is a lot. Yeah, it was truly the gay light. Yes, oh my gosh, yes. Yao becomes Yowie. Oh, what's this Yowie about? It's about Yao. It's about Yao. Oh my gosh. Okay. That was super fun to read. I love that. I am not gonna be able to get through the next chapters with a straight face. You're just gonna get me like dissolving into giggles every 3 minutes. Because yeah, I struggled with some bits in this bit already, and we haven't even got the Chaos Crew yet. And I'm gonna have to work out what voices I'm doing for the Chaos Crew. I say like I've been able to stick to voices so far. Hey, it's fine. Thank you so much for joining me for the stream to read Legend of Exorcism, Volume 1, Chapters 2 to the end of Chapter 4. That was really, really fun, and I'm excited to continue with this. Reading more of this soon. I will try and stream sometime next week. The next stream will probably be a chill stream to make trinkets for Fantasy Forest, because that's an event I need to prepare for. But I will definitely be doing another stream to read more of this very soon, probably later in the week or next weekend. Yeah, thank you for hanging out with me, and for all of the comments in the chat. Thank you so much. It's been a lot of fun. And hope you all have a good evening. Thank you, Ghost and Akashika, for hanging out in chat and bringing good vibes with your commentary. I will see everyone later. Have a good evening.